Welcome to the LANCave, where we're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Happy New Year!
2021 is a
Patrick,
new year.
I feel like I haven't talked to you all year.
Oh, the dad jokes are coming out. We're here giving you the gaming news like we do every single week. We had a couple weeks off with New Year's, with holidays, all that kind of jazz. We're back, and we're going to talk gaming like we do, ranting, talking about fun stuff. So if you like fun stuff and video games, and you're generally a nerd, or just want to hang out and you're bored and you want to escape the crazy things that in this world, just hang out with us every Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. 'Cause it's fun. Yeah. How's
I like
the New
having
Year?
fun.
Yeah, fun's good. How's the New Year treating you?
I can't. I'm sure I could complain, but
Yeah.
I can't really complain that I had to go back to work. That's probably the worst of it. You take a week off work and you come back on that Monday, and that Monday feels like the length of time that the Friday is before you leave for vacation.
Yeah.
So like those are like the two longest days, the day before you leave and the day that you come back.
Oh yeah.
But aside from that, it's been pretty good. It's been chill, been getting some gaming in, which is nice. Played a little Hades over the holidays because I didn't take my PlayStation or anything with me, so I took my Switch and got into some Hades. Made that my last game of the year. I suck at it, but it is a good game. I don't think I'm gonna finish it by any means because I never finish roguelikes. But if you like roguelikes, I think you'll probably enjoy it. But I'm just not. I'm not good enough. I do appreciate what they did in terms of like there's a story every time you die and there's characters to talk to every time that you die and go back to the underworld or whatever, and I like that aspect of it, so that was fun.
Yeah.
What are you up to, man?
I played a lot of Spider-Man.
Cool.
I'm playing the remaster and I'm loving it.
Finally.
Yeah. Well, I played like half of the remaster. I played the half of PS4.
Sure.
And I didn't finish it. So now I'm going back and finishing it. I'm loving it. After playing Miles, I was like, this just makes sense. And I'm playing Phoenix Immortals a little bit because the wife took over, because it is totally up her alley. She absolutely loves it. She loves that the Greek mythology aspect of it. It's not too difficult. I'll say some of the bosses are kind of difficult, but the rest of the game is not very difficult. So she liked the learning curve. It's challenging, but not terrible. Lots of puzzles. So it's I like it. I'm going to recommend that. Yeah.
I do have it loaded up. I just haven't. I'm trying to finish 13 Sentinels. So like I have. This is a good time to talk about the new segment that we're going to be doing in 2021. So we decided to kind of play off of what I was trying to do with Ex Libris and just make it a part of the podcast. So we each picked 12 plus. I think I have like 15 total games on my thing right there now. I might add a couple more, but 12 plus that we're going to play a game that we already own. We can't buy a game and add to it. No buying and adding to this list. This has to be already existing games because the idea behind Ex Libris was to get rid of the backlog. And so I roped Patrick into it. My first game is going to be Concrete Genie. I don't know what your first game is going to be, but I'm trying to finish 13 Sentinels because that's what I have hanging over, and I love it, dude. 13 Sentinels is probably my underrated game. I'm going to talk about that more, but I want to get to Concrete Genie. I want to get to Immortals. Those are two games that I have loaded up, ready to go, and everybody tells me that I'm going to love Immortals based on my love for Breath of the Wild. So
I want to play Hades. Like, I want that to be my first one. By the way, there's a little lag in my video. Apologies on that. I'll figure out what that is later. I want to play Hades. Like, I want that to be my game. But I'm like, you know what? I need to wait because that game is so recent, in my opinion. I want to wait for it to be more of my backlog. So I am going to play a game that I purchased and have not, which is in the vein of Ex Libris of what we're doing here. Is I'm playing a game that I should have played when I bought it. I didn't buy it at launch, but I bought Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
And I've not played Borderlands 3.
And it's been upgraded to next gen for free.
So I get to experience it on next gen, and I'm excited about that. I have no idea why I did not play this near launch. I loved the first one. I loved the second one. The pre-sequel I hated, but I loved the sequel. I loved the first one more than even the sequel. But I've heard good things.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was say I've heard good things. The only thing I heard there were some problems at launch, but that's kind of what happens nowadays apparently. But I heard it's a lot better now, so I'm glad I'm going to get to dive into that. So
if you're interested in joining us, here's what you do: you go through your pre-existing games. Again, don't buy new games and add to this list. You're going to buy new games anyway. We're all going to buy. Me and Patrick, I already know. We're going to talk about that next week, actually. Our most anticipated things of 2021, maybe some predictions thrown in there. So it's already a given that I'm going to buy games, right? We know that that's going to happen. These are games that we already own. Line up at least 12. So the idea, January, you play game 1. February, you play game 2. All the way through the year, you knock at least 12 games off of that never-ending backlog. Feel free to come talk to us about them on the show when we're going to be talking about it. It'll probably be like, we haven't decided which weeks yet. Maybe it'll be the last 2 weeks of the month. Maybe it'll be like the 2nd and 4th. But you can always just drop a comment on our existing videos as well. But feel free to join us in this challenge that we've set for ourselves. I think it's going to be a fun segment for the show. I think we do a pretty good job of talking about the news and having our opinions on that. But at the end of the day, we're also just normal dudes playing video games, and you're normal people playing video games, listening along with us. So why not do something and play some of those games that we own, right? Yeah. So let's have fun with that this year, and feel free to join us.
And if you have one of those games and you want to tune in next week, Owen's going to be talking about Hades, and the following week
Concrete
I'll be talking
Genie.
Sorry, what's wrong with me? Concrete Genie. I'll be talking about Hades at some point. You'll be talking Concrete Genie next week. Is that cool? Next week, or is it the week after?
I'm intending to start it this weekend. If I don't, we'll push it a week. No, I'm thinking more like I'm thinking more about talking about it like the 3rd and 4th weeks of the month. That way we get into the new month. We give each of us a couple weeks to experience the game. And so it'll be more, what do we do the first couple weeks? So if you guys have ideas for things that we should mix in with the news for the first couple weeks of the month, feel free to throw them out there. I want more feedback. I would love to hear what our loyal listeners think. I know that there's some of you out there that listen every week with us. So if there's something that you think would be a cool idea to kind of mix into the show, feel free to let me know, either through Messenger or on our video comments, whatever you'd like. I want all feedback. So I would say give us a couple weeks to get into the game, and then like the end of the month will be our 12 for 12 or Ex Libris or whatever we're going to end up calling that segment. So
we'll announce it earlier on in the month, so that way you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to have that game, or maybe it's part of your backlog, like pick it up, play it, and then join us so you can be part of the conversation. Because as we're talking about it live, you can be part of the conversation, talking about it on Facebook Live with us, because that's what we do. You want to talk some news?
I do.
Cool, let's talk some news. I wish you could hear that. I really wish you could hear that. J. Jonah Jameson asking for pictures of Spider-Man, because that's what he does. I mean, I'm still working on audio to see if Owen can actually hear the little stingers and stuff that I play, but you guys at home could at least hear some of that. And you know what? I will say, side note, I cannot find a audio clip of him asking for pictures of Spider-Man. I'm trying to find the scene, but apparently it may be that he never actually directly asked for it. But we have, it's like the Luke, I am your father, which he didn't say.
You can probably pull it from like the first Spider-Man movie, like the Tobey Maguire movie.
I listened to like every bit of it. I couldn't find give me pictures of Spider-Man. Like I was trying to find that. I couldn't find it. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this stinger. I'll come up with different things every single week, or maybe they'll just be total J. Jonah Jameson stuff the entire time. But I just thought I'd play some Breath of the Wild as we jump in here. The news has nothing to do with it, but I want Breath of the Wild 2 so bad that I had to throw that in there.
You know what this puts me in the mood for?
What put you in the mood for?
Some chicken.
Some chicken? Well, if you want some chicken, let me tell you, you could get the KFC console because apparently, this was announced around the PlayStation 5 announcement,
Yeah.
where they were saying, "Hey, KFC's coming out with their own console," and everyone was like, "Haha, that's funny, whatever." And apparently, it may be actually a thing. It sounds like it is that they've, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of rescaling this here a little bit, but it looks like it is either KFC's actually doing it, or at least they are pairing with Cool Master. So I haven't seen where you can buy it.
Yeah.
But it looks legit. Like they're actually talking about not necessarily specs, but saying that it's going to use they're using Barracuda Seagate and Firecuda SSDs. Man, would you buy this case for your console with chicken warmer?
If they announce a contest to win it, I'm gonna happily try and go get it. I'll go pick up some chicken if it gets me a contest entry or something like that. I mean, they're
put it right here. I'm not gonna lie.
They're claiming that it can do 4K at 240 FPS. Who knows what that includes? So that they said it with a first of its kind hot swappable GPU slot. So I want to see it work. Really, is the thing. Yeah. I just want a video showing the temperatures that it's keeping your chicken warm at, because that's the thing, is it has a chicken warming oven where you can see from the blueprints, it's basically you're playing a game and your GPU is putting off heat, which is therefore warming your chicken or keeping it warm. I think it's funny. It's definitely funny that somebody's gonna make it. I hope there's an opportunity to win it, and then as far as like buying it, obviously,
I completely agree. If I could get the case and I didn't have to buy the whole thing, there's a chance that I may be like, this is so stupid and niche that I may throw money at it. If there's a chance to win it, I agree with you. Need some KFC. So the weird the weird thing for me when it comes to this, the whole case idea and like everything, is like PC gaming, which I used to say I'm not a PC gamer. I'm kind of becoming more of a PC gamer. But from a tech perspective, you always want to make sure you keep your tech cool. You want to worry about the cooling of your GPU, your cooling of your CPU. And in this case, they're like, oh, let's let the GPU get hot at least on one side, right? So on that side, it's allowing the heat to dissipate, and I guess blow the fans in the northern direction, so that way the CPU and everything can stay cool, and the GPU can stay cool, but it uses the heat to heat your chicken, which I guess it could be anything. But if that actually does that, I'm going to be impressed that someone came up with a way to do it.
Well, my thing would just be like cleaning. The thing just gets greasy and stuff like that, where I just wonder how long you could stay dirty. And it's not like gamers clean anything to begin with. And so now you have a PC that, like, how often do you blow dust out of your computer, right? So how often are you really going to go clean your chicken drawer?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I think I'm one of the only people I know who cleans regularly. And even then, it's not very regularly, like maybe once a year.
I have a kid, so I have to clean his stuff all the time, right? Like I do all the dishes I'm not claiming credit, just in case she's listening. I'm not claiming 100% credit, but I clean lots of bottles and kids' plates, and we have a thing about like, if she cooks dinner, I do the dishes. If I cook dinner, she does the dishes.
Yeah, that's a good way.
But in terms of like cleaning outside of like taking out the trash, that just doesn't happen as often, especially dusting. Like if you're one of those people who like dusts once a week or something like that, I have to question if you're a psychopath or not, because I don't know if I trust anybody who's like, I dust every single Saturday.
I know one person who does that, and it's my mom. I know no one else who does that. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. But I don't know anybody else who does it at that level. I'm sorry, no, I actually do. I know someone who has kind of some OCD tendencies.
Sure.
And not only that, but he's kind of a minimalist. So it makes it a little easy to be able to dust and organize when you really don't have you only have 5 items in the house. It makes it a lot easier. But yeah, I'm terrible about dusting. I'm decent about vacuuming. I'm terrible, or I'm okay at dishes. My dishes don't sit like with disgusting stuff in there. At least I scrub them. So, but yeah, same thing with this. Like, who is going to pull out the grease tray and clean it? And all, I mean, yeah, if you did that, and you were actually using this to keep your food warm, I would imagine you should be doing this at least every probably 2 or 3 days if you're using it every day to keep your chicken warm.
Yeah.
And if not, then you should be cleaning it every time because it's disgusting.
And if you're buying that much chicken, make sure that you are also exercising because you might have a heart problem.
Yes, that may.
But we are
happen.
not medical professionals.
Yeah, we just play them on TV. But one thing that, in a stupid segue that doesn't exist, you and I have been hoping. Speaking of cases, there we go. There's my segue.
Yeah.
Speaking of cases that we would like to have, while I may not envision having a KFC case for myself, I have been wishing for a black PS5 and
Really?
getting yeah, a little bit, a
Okay.
little bit. Part of it is I got the Xbox is there and the PS5 is there. PS5 looks fine, but it just throws me off. They look so different. I don't mind the look. Whitney hates the look. Loves the game. Loves the controller, by the way.
Yeah.
Absolutely loves the controller. She finally is diving in and playing PS5 after like 2 months because she's been playing Xbox Series X. But so this, and the actual news for this is Dbrand has announced they're doing matte black faceplates for the PS5. You can sign up. Stock is limited, so you can sign up on their website to pick up your own faceplates. I would encourage people, if this is something you want to do, because I'm worried and Sony may end up going after them. Who knows what's going to happen there? If you want one, even if you don't have the PS5 yet, I would actually probably encourage you to try to get one, because that's just me. That's just me.
I think the reason why Sony can't necessarily go after them in this case is because there's no Sony branding on it. So there's no PlayStation symbols.
Correct.
There's no
It's
to be
black,
honest with you, whenever I pulled this, I think it's kind of ugly. I think going all black on it is not the way to go. I think if you're gonna, I think the way that this console is made with the dual faceplates and stuff, I think you need a contrast. So if you're not into white, if you don't like the white look, like maybe like a PlayStation blue or something like that. But like whenever I was looking at this, like I have the Series X. I already have this solid black console that I don't like the look of. It's behind my TV for a reason. My Xbox Series X is literally, you wouldn't know I own a Series X except for the fact that I do a podcast and talk about it all the time. And I've actually played I probably played an equal amount of time on my Series X as my PlayStation 5 thanks to Call of Duty. I've actually gotten pretty decent, not great, but decent. I have a positive kill death ratio on Call of Duty. But that ugly black box is behind the TV because it's just there's nothing that makes it look interesting. And I understand why you like it, but at the same time, there's no way I want to change my console into this. Look at it, dude. Like, look at it. Like, it's still got the curves and everything. You literally just took off the white and you're trying to hide it, and I don't want to hide it. I think it's an art piece.
It is an art piece. I will say it is an art piece. But at the same time, kind of, I don't mind all of my electronics being black. I don't mind that. I think the look is clean. I agree though. Like, also, like, while it may not be for everyone. The white and black has a nice accent. The blue light when it's on is really cool. I actually don't like the yellow, like when it's in sleep mode. I know that's the smallest complaint, but I just don't like it. But at the same time, I get it in comparison to the console being on. It's not that I hate it. I just would like it. Also, I would also like the options. While the colors aren't for me, I would like them to have options. If, like you mentioned, blue, pink, purple. I think purple would be a really popular color.
I think hot pink would go with the black.
Hot pink would go really well with that. And like, I think those would sell well. I think black is a safe bet. But I think that's the most popular of what people want. But I do agree also that some offset would also be cool. But also at that same time, you could pop this on, and then you could much easier. You could create a stencil or something of vinyl to go across the inside, so it could be black and red with red inside. I think that's easier than trying to get around that texture of the PS5 plates. PS5 plates were. PS5 plates are that texture is hard for them to put something on. Robert's agreeing with me on that yellow. It's annoying. It is annoying.
Yeah, I'm just so surprised at how many people just want their box to just be this plain black thing. Like, to me, whenever I'm hearing about that, that's the people whose wives don't, and I'm speaking mainly to men, whose wives don't like the fact that their console's in their living room and they have to hide it. Yeah. And luckily, I'm not in that situation where I have to hide my console. Yeah. And I think it looks fine. I actually have gotten really used to the white. It really, we talked about this when the console came out, ladies and gentlemen. Get yourself an entertainment system that houses the console in a proper way, that it fits. Don't make it hang over the edge. Don't make sure it fits, and it will look just fine. I guarantee it. And then go to Rose Colored Gaming and get you a nice controller stand similar to this cartridge stand. Put it in the window of your cabinets, and so you could just see my controller staring at you.
We're not endorsed by Rose Colored.
I should be.
You should be. You should be. You've given them enough money.
I'm gonna give them even more.
Yep, it's happening. That's what we're. Hey, quarantine. What do we get? What do we got? We're not going anywhere. We're not going on vacations right now. So let's have some fun.
But if Sony makes some faceplates, I will happily buy them. I want the PlayStation logo on there first of all, so the fact that this doesn't have that bothers me. I don't like. I want my logos, man. So I'm here for design labs, baby. Like, if you do design labs, Sony. Like, get on the Xbox train. Because imagine, Patrick, you get a black casing and you're able to put the TheLanCave logo on your case. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
I would totally buy TheLanCave merchandise like that.
Yeah.
we may do merchandise at some point this year. I don't know. We're still we'll figure that out. But I would totally buy. I will say, slight tangent because we do tangents. We got a Cricket. That was Whitney's.
I got my wife a Cricket.
Awesome.
For Christmas.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah. Which one? Maker?
The Mint, the Air something 2.
Okay.
Whatever my friends told me to get.
Okay. So I think that's the one right below the Maker. So the Maker's the higher end one, higher end quotation marks.
They're all pretty high end, just to let you guys know.
They're all pretty high end. I mean, to me, I was like, I think it's reasonable for what it's doing. But the only difference I think between that one and this one is this one can cut leather and wood, to an extent, small thin plywood or whatever. And I was like, that's cool. And because I imagined, well, if it has that, it's got a little bit more horsepower, if you will, to it. And I thought, okay, well, that'll be a little bit better. But we got that for Christmas. And so I was gonna say, I can totally make
Air Explorer 2.
Okay. I don't know where that is on their differences. It's not the smallest one. I think there's a Cricket Mini or something.
Yeah. This one is for if you want mainly to cut vinyl and stuff, which is what she wants to make the kid clothes, is what she's going for.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it can probably cut vinyl and cloth.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Yeah. So if you don't know what it is, basically it will cut fabric and materials for you. You put a pattern in there and it cuts it for you. and then it could maybe be a vinyl thing that you put on your car. It could be something that you stitch onto clothes, or it could be like an actual pattern for clothes. So I could totally, or you could even make LanCave vinyl decals and stuff. So
Yeah.
end
Oh,
up
that's something. That's something for her to do. So she's making the kid clothes and stuff. That's her primary function on it. But hey, maybe I get her to make me a shirt
hey,
as well.
if if she's having fun with the machine and wants a different project, I'm just saying that can be a thing. So
You know what a lot of people are having fun doing though is 2020 was a year for playing video games, as we've talked about. And I'm only going to mention it briefly just because I think it's cool to show how many people are gaming. Everybody who doesn't PC game, you've still probably heard of the platform Steam, owned by Valve, makers of games like Half-Life. But Steam over the holidays hit their record high in concurrent users. And when we say concurrent users, that's not playing video games. That's just people who are logged in to Steam at 25 million people over Christmas. But weirdly, their record for playing games was actually set in March, so like right when the pandemic started, which is there were 7.4 million people playing on the day that everybody was logged in. But in March, there was a point where 8.1 million people were playing video games.
So it also says you're logged in if you're if you have the application up and you're in the store.
Yeah.
Since it's in December, I'm going to make the guess that had to do with a lot of people buying games because they had their winter sale and everything.
That Steam sale, baby.
That
I
is
resisted.
Dangerous. That is dangerous. This is the first year I resisted. It's the first year that I resisted, and it probably is the wrong year to resist for me, having the new PC. But I didn't buy any. I didn't buy any games like around the Christmas sales. I spent so much on the new consoles and stuff that I was like,
I did the buy two get one from Best Buy, where I got Immortals, Valhalla, and Cyberpunk. I bought 13 Sentinels back in November for $30.
Yeah.
But I bought no, outside of Hades, which I actually paid full price for, and they discounted by $2 the next day. That made me upset. Other than Hades, I made no digital purchases in the month of December.
Wow, that's different. I was gonna say, like, that's strength. That's strength.
My credit card bill was a lot smaller after I paid off the Christmas presents, dude. It was not that we talk too much about finances, but let's just say during November it was in the 4-digit range, and in December it was in the low 3 digits.
Very nice. Okay. I was gonna say I'm in the 4-digit range. It's about to be knocked down considerably because that's what happens. Season of giving.
It's like you bought a new computer or something.
I know that. I didn't buy that on credit, so that's the other thing.
Oh, nice.
I had to actually cash that because it was to James, who I don't know if he'll be tuning in today, but one of my friends and coworkers. Which I tell people that if you cross into that like Venn diagram where you're both a friend and a coworker, and if you're a coworker and I can still consider you a friend, and I get along with you in both cases, then that says a lot about someone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'm gonna skip that last Nintendo piece of news because it really doesn't matter that much at all. I am going to mention though, because we want to get to our favorite games of 2020, and we had those tech difficulties that kind of pushed us back a little bit. Sorry about that. But
real quick, before we segue, top game though, the top game played on Steam was CS:GO.
Oh yeah,
CS:GO, which is an 8-year-old game,
and it's free.
It's free, I know, but people like to give Skyrim and other games crap where they're like, I can't believe you're playing that. It's so old. It's so old. Like, but it's good.
I mean,
if we
were to go, let's have a fun experiment and let's go to. Even though we stream on Facebook, it's definitely not the most popular game streaming platform for like PC games. So if we were to go to Twitch.tv, browse games, what?
Top on Twitch.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's.
What do you think it's going to be?
Okay, well, I think Grand Theft Auto is going to be really up there on Twitch.
Okay.
I think that there's probably some MOBA crap that I don't care
Oh,
about.
they've changed the sorting.
Okay.
Gross.
I was gonna say I'm leaning towards Grand Theft Auto being a big one because mods are fun. Um,
They've changed the sorting. So you used to just be able to see like what were the top
yeah,
games being played right
Miles and
now.
Grand Theft Auto are my two. Well, actually, no. Miles may have cooled off by now. I bet
Well,
Miles is pretty big though.
Miles isn't. That's a one-player game. Whenever you think about it, so you're forgetting a big game.
Forget
It's
a
a
big game.
big BR.
Yeah, Fortnite.
Well, no, I'm talking about Call of Duty Warzone. Fortnite's still up there as well, but there's also LOL, free game.
Well,
There's
that's what I was
also
thinking, like, yeah.
So when it comes to those games where it's like what's going to be the most popular thing, it's always going to surprise you because it's going to be that multiplayer game that everybody just logs into. Just like how I've been meaning to get through 13 Sentinels, but there's nights where I don't want to play any story and I jump onto Call of Duty, and before you know it, I've been playing Cold War for 3 hours.
Hours. Yeah. So if you can't find it right now,
they reorganized it.
That's all right. So we'll go to our next bit here, which is some sad news that I think we kind of anticipated it coming at some point. PlayStation 4 being discontinued in Japan. It's not all but one of the consoles. So we knew it was coming. This is the previous generation at this point. As sad as it is to say that, is the previous generation. So yeah, so it's ending production of PS4 Pro to only continue the. Hold on, only continue to produce one model PS4. I thought the PS4 Pro was the one that was continuing. Is it the Slim? All but the Slim.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry, I thought it was the Pro. That. Okay, I guess from a cost perspective, I get it. If it were me, if I could keep one, it's not a business decision. If I could keep one, it'd be the Pro.
That's the thing is that the Pro's always been kind of hard to find, and it's hard to find the Pro right now in the US. It's not impossible or anything. It's not like it's not PS5 hard to find, but they've neave talked about the sales or anything. The most popular version has always been the cheapest version, which is always going to be the case. Of
course.
And since they don't care about the Pro anymore. They just want the one that's still going to move some units as the generation dies out, or maybe people want a spare or something like that.
Sure. Well, it's the same thing that Xbox doing with the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Like, let's get rid of the Xbox One X because we have the Series X.
Yeah.
So I guess it makes sense. Business decisions.
You can expect, if it's happening in Japan, you can expect that to start being a worldwide thing. It probably not as quickly because there's still a lot of sales to be made, and by a lot, there's still hundreds of thousands of people that will go buy a cheap PS4, especially as they keep putting them on sale. But I would expect that you're going to start having trouble finding PS4 Pros. You're probably going to have a hard time finding anything but the Slim elsewhere.
Yeah, if you got the money, and if you have the money, I mean, obviously, I would lean towards the PS5. But if you're not ready for that, the PlayStation 4 Pro is an excellent console. We both gamed on. Did you get yours around launch of the PS4 Pro?
It came out in launch, and I got it about 6 months later.
Okay, I got it around, I think, 2 months after launch. I got the Xbox One X at launch. Xbox One X at launch. They're stellar consoles. I mean, in jumping from the PS4 Pro to PS5, I'm not saying that the PS4 Pro looks as good. It looks pretty darn good. The only difference is like the hard drive speed and some of the quality of life stuff. But
looks good on my wall.
It does look good on the wall. Yeah, it's outputting a 4K checkerboard, but it looks really good. I would say it's still a good main console to have if you aren't ready for next gen. If you want to grab a PS4 and play older games that are, I say older, it could be a game that came out like 2 years ago, but you can grab them for dirt cheap, used. So
well, and I mean, as far as we know too, they're still going. I mean, Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is still going to be on PS4. They haven't said it yet, I don't think, but I expect God of War to still be on PS4 as well. It's not it's not going away, and there's going to be plenty. I mean, it's going to hold God of War back, and it's going to be sad, but there's still plenty to be done. And when we talk next week about anticipated games, I expect there to be some games available on maybe Xbox One and PS4 that you'll be able to still get going into this year, and probably even and next year as well. But by the end of 2022, you probably are gonna have a hard time getting like new launches and stuff. But you're good. Don't worry about it. Don't. I understand FOMO is a thing. I totally get it. That's how I ended up with Cyberpunk, even though I have no intention of playing it until they've done a bunch of patches to it. I bought AC Valhalla with no intention of playing it for a month or two, just because I got it for $40.
I should have done that with Cyberpunk, because to get it for $40, even to get it for $40 and then just wait.
Yeah,
that's not bad. That's not bad. But I anticipated, you and I were anticipating bugs. Bugs happened. I didn't expect it to be as bad. But I actually wish that I had purchased it physically or digitally, whatever, because now apparently it's much better. PS5 wasn't too much of a problem anyways. But let's segue. It's the new year.
Speaking of dying generations.
It is a new year. It's a new me. It's a new you. We want to talk about our favorite games of 2020, and I put in my favorite games. You put in your favorite games in a list. I listed off my favorite games that came out in 2020. And you added some in here that didn't come out in 2020, but you played them in 2020.
I just listed my favorite things that I played.
Sure, and that's, I was gonna say, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's about half and half, I think. Yeah. For the record, I played 44 games in 2020. I met my 2019 record. I played 44 in 2019. I played 44 in 2020. I want to go for 50 in 2021, or at least 45, at least up at one, right?
These are games you've played, or you it's not beaten?
I don't track beaten. I mean, I track beaten. I do use, there's an app that I try and turn everybody onto because it's really well done, and it's one of the only ones that has mobile support. It's called GG. If you follow our Facebook page, I often share my lists. You can go find my 2020 and 2019 lists on that list, or on our page there. So I do track the games that I beat, but in terms of when I'm making a list for the year, it's literally, if I put any time into it, it's going on I played that this year.
Yeah. No, I need to be better about that and kind of track them, because I play them, but I forget to track them. So I need to track that on GG. We're just going to go through our list. It's not necessarily rapid fire. We're just going to, mine is not in any particular order. Yours isn't either, is it? Or is it?
I put mine in my favorite order.
Okay, so number one is number one on yours?
Number one's number one.
Okay, so mine is in no particular order.
Okay,
but we do have some overlaps here. So it's going to spoil some of yours.
That's okay.
One of my favorites this year was Miles Morales, for so many reasons. I think that this is arguably better than the PS4 Spider-Man. It's a tighter story. The character development in that tighter story worked so well. I didn't feel like, other than of course the side missions where it's just like, hey, collect some things. Other than that, I didn't feel like the game was bloated at all. I enjoyed all of it. The next gen obviously was a great part of it as well, but I thought it was a great story. It was a tight story. It didn't feel, like I said, like filler at all. So that was my number something.
Is my number two game of 2020. Came really close to beating out number one, which we'll get to in a second. But I agree, it was just tight. It was a super tight experience. I think it was the perfect length. I do love Spider-Man 2018. That was I think a top 2 game for me in 2018. But to be honest with you, after playing Miles Morales, I liked it being the 10 to 15 hours as opposed to the 25 to 30 hours that the original Spider-Man was. I'm not saying I won't take a longer Miles Morales, but in the current life that I'm in, I told you I'm playing 13 Sentinels right now, which I'm going to talk to in a minute. It's already on my list of favorite games of 2020, but it's 30 hours long, and I'm having trouble finding that time to beat it. Like I play like, I don't know, 2 hours every couple days, maybe 3 hours every couple days, and to beat a 30-hour game, that's like 10, 11, 12 play sessions. I beat Miles in 3 days.
I was gonna say I'm in that same boat with, with I don't have parental obligations, you do, but husband obligations, work obligations, just life, things that you have to take care of, cuts into, being an adult is great, but it sucks at the same time. So I agree. I wish I had more time, but I'm the same way. So I love longer games, but yeah, it was gonna take forever to get through some of these. So that was your number 2. You have a little bit less games than I do. So I'm going to go to my number 10, and then we'll kind of work our way.
Yeah.
I think that my number 10, or whatever number, it was Resident Evil 3.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Remake, you mean, or do you mean?
Remake. Remake, Resident Evil 3. Absolutely loved, again, a short game, much shorter than I expected. I got to play this and Resident Evil 2. Both remakes. Resident Evil 2 didn't come out that year. I believe it came out the previous year. But Resident Evil 3, short game, a lot of changes to the original, but done in a very good way. I was more scared in Resident Evil 2 than I was in 3, but it's good stuff. No, it's not. I know it's not your cup of tea, but I think 2 was a better remake than the 3 remake, but the 3 remake was really good.
Hey, not everything has to be my cup of tea. I think that's what is a part of what makes our show great, is that we don't agree on everything. I'm going to go to my number 9, which I know is also on your list, but since I'll just go to a little bit of order, but our COVID savior in March of 2020 was Animal Crossing New Horizons. I didn't even roll credits on this game, which I think is when you get KK Slider to do his concert. That didn't stop me though from putting, I think, somewhere between like 60 and 70 hours into the game during that launch period. It's a game I had never played a Animal Crossing game prior. Who knows if I'll ever play an Animal Crossing game again. The thing that I said last year, and what puts it on my favorite, it came along at the exact time it needed to come along. It stuff was going down. We were going on lockdown, and all of a sudden we're playing this super jolly game. And I know that this game isn't on our list, but if you're ever having fun, Patrick, look up the Doom Animal Crossing memes. Since Doom came out at the same time, and they're hilarious. Like Elizabeth with
it's so good. I've seen a few of them. It's so good, and I love the juxtaposition. They came out at the same time, and I think it was therapy for different people for different reasons. But Animal Crossing, I think, resonated with so many people at the right time in their lives, at the right time in the world. There's a reason that game took off, and it was perfect game for the time. That game is 2020. That is our escape, is our perfect escapism in 2020. So my number 9, very recently played, is Immortals Phoenix Rising.
Yeah.
I love this game. I think it's a great blend. The entire time, and I had to stop myself from saying it because I kept saying out loud, this is Breath of the Wild, but in a good way. Like, there were so many things. It wasn't just the art style. There are other things in there that I'm like, they obviously loved Breath of the Wild, but at the same time, it is its own game. It is its own thing. They didn't steal from it. Similar to when any game that comes out that is that good, you're going to have imitators, and imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Just think about all the roguelikes and all the BRs, all the other ones. Like, those are all building off of and original.
Yep. I'm old enough to remember that when first-person shooters started coming out to be more prominent, I was a kid during this, but when first-person shooters were coming out, they were Doom clones. Is what people called
Yeah.
them. They called them Doom games and Doom clones. I'm like, it's not Doom. They're like, it's a Doom clone.
It's the sheerest
That,
form of flattery, in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
there's a point where you're definitely like ripping off some things, but at the
sure.
same time, I don't care. Breath of the Wild is my favorite game of all time. If you can rip it off and rip it off fine,
Yeah.
good.
If you like
I
that
can't
and you
wait to
like
play
Greek
it.
mythology, you're going to like this game, in my opinion. I mean, I try not to overhype it, but I'm loving the game. My orders, mine aren't necessarily in a specific order, but it's a kind of a recency bias on this. It's
Yeah.
so recent to me. Love it, love it, love it.
I'm hoping to get into it soon, but I gotta do Concrete Genie first. So.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's one of the games that made it on my favorites list. Did not come out in 2020. Didn't come out in 2019. Didn't come out in 28. It came out, I believe. Let's see. Before I drop the title of this,
Before you were born. No, we're just joking.
yeah, Final Fantasy 13 came out December 17th, 2009. So I took it back to an 11-year-old game. However,
I snagged the wrong video on that. I apologize.
that's okay.
I'm so sorry.
I went to
the wrong Final Fantasy here.
I was about to say, don't put Stadia on there.
No.
You don't have to put a video for everything, but
That's
I went with an 11-year-old game that has been completely remastered. Not completely, but they up-resed it on Xbox to 4K. It looks fantastic. I really didn't give this game a fair shake back when it came out in 2009. It's very linear, and that was at a time where I thought that you had to follow the Final Fantasy model that all the Final Fantasies had before, right? Where you get to this open world segment and you walk around the world, and that's the way it's gotta be, because that's Final Fantasy, baby. But I have since moved beyond that. Final Fantasy 15 is one of my favorites. I wanted to give it a new fair shake. I'm glad that I did, because what Xbox did with uprising this game, it looks gorgeous. You could not tell me that game came out in 2009 with what they did to the textures. The story is still a little wonky, and I'm still working my way through it. I haven't finished it yet, but really I'm just impressed with what they were able to do to an old game like that, and it made me it really locked in the Xbox as a definite backwards compatibility machine. I'm excited to go back through and look for other optimized for titles that maybe I missed, maybe I skipped, or maybe I just want to see like how good they look now. So I wanted to throw that number 8 to 13.
Same. It's awesome. Yeah, I misread it. I was again working for different stuff, so apologies, misread that. Didn't have the video ready for it. But let's pivot on. That's the wrong video, so I'll pivot to my next one, which was one that I knew I would like, but it is Carry On, which I beat. I was very happy with. It's not too long. It is challenging, puzzly, even though it looks, it was a mixture of horror, like creature horror, like The Thing, and puzzles. And I loved both of those things, and it put them together, and it was wonderful in its grotesque. If you wanted to heal, you need to eat. You eat the people. It's kind of how, but they're also shooting you. But there's a lot of puzzles and kind of Metroidvania aspects of, I need to do this in order to get through this area. I really enjoyed it, and Devolver just continued to knock it out of the park. That's about it.
Meant to get to it. I'll get to it someday.
Yeah, I mean, it's while it is horror, it is not like, oh, I'm scared horror.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that's macabre or grotesque or whatever. But
I mean, if you
it's
played
also
Ape Escape, it kind of reminds me of that. It kind of you play like a beast or an animal that is looking to.
It's a little visceral because it very much looks like maybe that's muscle tissue or something, but at the same time it's so low res that it doesn't really like gross you out. You just kind of like, it's a blob, it's a red blob.
Yeah, exactly. So sticking with the number 13, I'm going to go to my number 7, which I've talked about many times on this particular podcast already today, but that's 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
Yeah.
I really want more people to play this game if it's even close to your cup of tea. It has one of the craziest stories that I've ever played. It's a time travel. I'm not even through it, so I'm still unraveling the mystery, but you're trying to figure out what's happening with the world. And the way that they design this game, one, it's Vanillaware, so the art style is great. If you don't know Vanillaware, they made Odin Sphere back in the day on PS2, among other things. So they're very well known for how good their art and their characters look. But they did it in a cool way where you get to play each character in the story and play through their section of the story, and it's kind of visual novel-esque. And then as a combat, they also have this kind of real-time action strategy thing going on, and you can play through all of the combat kind of at once. There's points where it'll lock you out of the story and tell you, hey, you need to go do some of the combat if you're not kind of actively doing it. And then you go through the reel of just the different characters, and the story it's so cool. It's crazily written. I just saw on Twitter actually today that they just reached 300,000 copies. I wish it was more. So it's Vanillaware, published by Atlas. It's great. I'm trying to finish it so I can move on to other things, but I'm not feeling bad that I'm not done with it yet, because it really that's the recency one for me. I picked it up in November, and it's been really cool. It also, by the way, if you're not watching the video, it's very anime. So if that bothers you, then that could be a problem, but I play lots of Japanese games, so it just doesn't affect me that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the anime. I don't mind the look if it's good story. It has to have a good story, because I have seen a lot of things that kind of they go with the specific art style because that's the art style I want to go with, or it just happens to be from Japan, so it's that style, but it's a crap story. Because not all anime is good. I'm sorry, but not all anime is good. You have good anime and you have crap anime. People know that. So if it's a good story, I'm fine with it though. Yeah. So my next game is of no surprise to anyone. May be my top game of the year, but that's because I'm crazy biased. But Demon Souls, for so many reasons, it is one of my top games of this year. Keeping the design true to the original. The original is a masterpiece, but keeping the design to be that good while adding little Easter eggs in there is amazing. Taking that and making it a next gen game, to the fact that people are playing it that never played Demon Souls. Demon Souls came out 12 years ago, I want to say 11 years ago. So a game that came out 11 or 12 years ago, and making a game that you play now, and it doesn't feel like a remake. It doesn't feel like a remake or remaster. It feels like a new game. This game plays better than Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne. And some people who love Bloodborne would argue with me on that, but I'm sorry, this game plays better than that. It's smoother. I feel like they kept true to the origin without changing or bastardizing any of it, to the point where I don't know anyone who loves the original who does not like the remake. And usually you have your detractors. You have your detractors saying, "Oh, well, it's not as good because of these reasons." Every single person I've talked to and I've seen online has said, "No, this is that good," or they haven't played it yet. That's I'm sorry, it's that's the difference. So
Sure.
Absolutely loved it. What's your next? Your next one was a surprise for everyone too, or surprise for you maybe. If you had said to yourself last year that this was your favorite, would you have believed yourself?
No, probably not. Probably not. No, the fact that I even bought it to begin with was also something that I wouldn't have been able to tell myself. So number 6 for me, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I know that I've heard from some Call of Duty people that it may not be the best entry in the series. I wouldn't be able to tell you. because I've been having a blast. You can see some gameplay that up on the YouTube channel. You can see gameplay for most of these, by the way. We've been trying to do that. We're going to try and do better, even better about that this year. But you can find Call of Duty gameplay anywhere. I have not touched the story still. That's what I originally thought I was going to do. I thought, hey, I'm going to jump into the story. I'm going to play it. Really, I wanted a AAA experience on my Xbox Series X, and Call of Duty on Xbox, even though it was associated with PS4 this last gen, I kind of associated with Xbox because I played it back on more on the 360. That's where I was playing my World at Wars and Modern Warfare. It was more of an Xbox title for me, so I thought this makes sense. I jumped into the multiplayer, and it's so much fun. It's the gameplay loop. It sucks me in. Like I said it a little while ago on the show, I end up playing for 2 or 3 hours without even realizing it. I'm not playing with anybody. I've played maybe a couple hours with somebody that I know. The majority of my time is spent just quietly match to match to match. I'm in one match, I'm out. I'm in one match, I'm out. I've never had to wait longer than 30 seconds to join a new match.
That's cool.
And you can tell when there's other people, because it has crossplay with cross-gen and PC, and you can tell when people are on the older consoles because they're not loaded into the game, and I'm already sitting there waiting for them to load in.
And it's not network connection.
No,
at this
it's
point.
just saying waiting for other players.
Yep.
It's fun.
And those solid state drives, man. This gen, it's no longer next gen. Sorry, this generation, PS5 and Xbox Series X. I'm not sound like a snob saying that, but this generation is about
so last gen, bro.
But it's so like quality of life. It's like the solid state hard drive, because I've heard people. And my buddy Trevor even mentioned, he was like, "Oh, the game, Call of Duty doesn't look that much better on the Xbox Series X versus Xbox One X." I'm like, first of all, you went from a really good console into the next gen, but also it's all about like load times. To me, this generation is all about quality of life and load times. It will later on be able to see some even better things, but. Yeah, this is a surprise. I was surprised that it became one of that was a big thing for you, but yeah, totally.
It's also become like on an opposite spectrum of Animal Crossing. Mm-hmm. It's become an end of the year stress relief for me. So like Animal Crossing kind of got us into COVID, and Call of Duty has been kind of getting me out of the year, where it's like, I'm just gonna go shoot stuff. That's kind of where I'm at. Is that I'm just gonna log on and I'm gonna shoot stuff for a couple hours. I'm gonna go to bed, and I'm gonna feel okay at the end of it.
Yeah, and I kind of, with my next one, I kind of had that. It was a surprise for me. If it wasn't free, I probably wouldn't have been in this situation. But Fall Guys,
baby,
man, PS Plus, Fall Guys. I was hooked for this for a couple weeks. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Sure. It was probably like 3 weeks.
It seemed.
Yeah, I was hooked on this game hardcore, and it because it was so quick in and out. Yeah, and that was on my PS4, but still load in. There were enough people, so many people playing that it just I didn't have to wait very long for a queue. The matches were really quick. I'm used to Dark Souls and Demon Souls, so dying and losing I didn't get butthurt about. It was just like, that was fun.
They're so cute. It's really hard to.
Yeah. So I laughed at myself a lot, but I thought it was fun. It was fun escapism, and it was good stuff. Next up, actually,
we matched up on this one.
We matched up, even whether or not we meant to. We matched up on this one, which you mentioned. You said this was probably your favorite game of the year, or possibly your favorite game of the year, and I was like, I don't know, but then I played it. Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom is really, really good.
Fantastic. Amazing.
I just smile the entire time playing it. I was smiling. Part of it is, I know, PlayStation nostalgia, but take that away. Take that away.
GP, or I'm your GP. That's so good.
Like, take that away, and it's still great though. Like, even if you don't care about the PlayStation nostalgia, because the artifacts that you're getting are PlayStation artifacts. So the different things that you're finding and acquiring for your collection are PlayStation. But even without that, the gameplay, the mechanics, and the controller, as a tech demo for the controller, it was so wonderful. It was wonderful. I
It's
love.
I can't say anything bad about this game.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's family friendly. It comes with your PS5 whenever you get it. Don't delete it. I know a lot of people who just straight up deleted it. They had zero interest in playing it. I was like, are you kidding? And they're like, well, I have no nostalgia for PlayStation. I'm like, first of all, why'd you get a PS5 at launch then? Second of all, I'm just kidding. Like, I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm just surprised if somebody would get a console at launch when they just have no history with it.
Yeah.
But they were like, it's just not for me. I'm like, what about this makes it not for you?
I feel like
I don't get that.
Well, I feel like it's the same people who are dismissing games like Knack, and they're like, "Oh, it's like a kid's game." I'm like, "Okay, but try it."
But it's Knack. No, I'm just kidding.
But try it. But Astro's Playroom is better than Knack. Astro's Playroom is wonderful. Whitney has had, actually, she's had a PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. She's had all of them. She had a PlayStation 1 and 2 before we got married. PlayStation 3 after we got married. We're that old. But at the same time, like when it was like, oh, here's the this PlayStation Eye or whatever it was, it didn't like click to her, like how cool that is that they're highlighting some of
the peripherals.
All the peripherals and highlighting the little notes to different things. Like that didn't resonate with her, but
them acting out all the games.
That I loved that. She was like, oh, okay. Like it didn't like hit her in the nostalgia, but other games do, other things do, but it didn't hit her in that. But at the same time, she loved it as well. It's
super cute at the end. Like there's room for cuteness, guys.
It's adorable. You know what else is cute? Is big robot dinosaurs.
Yeah,
and that's your next game.
Yeah,
it's a big robot dinosaur game.
So again, I went back to the well on this one. My next two are back to the well games. So I dropped this game like a bad habit. Not in a bad way though, because another game happened to come out in the same exact week. So I want to take you back to March of 2017 with a little Horizon Zero Dawn. And Horizon came up against another title, small. It's made by an indie company called Nintendo, and that was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And so I'm 20 hours in. This is pre-children, right? I am 20 hours in. I'm talking in a 3-day span, I was 20 hours in. And I know some people can do that in 1 or 2, but I still have to work, right? 20 hours into Horizon, Breath of the Wild comes out. I never touched the game again. Never, ever again. And so this year, I was like, I know they're going to be working on Horizon Zero Dawn 2. It turns out I was right. They're coming out with that hopefully this year. Probably going to be on my list for anticipated games. Yeah. I'm so glad that I went back to this. It's fantastic. It's great. I have trouble with open world games because of density, and there is a lot of things on this map that try and distract you. That's always my biggest problem with open world games, is if they put too many things on the map, I'm going to have a problem. But Aloy is a really cool character, and the concept behind this game, where it's set in this not dystopian kind of future, but this future where like we went full circle, like we went super technological and then the world crashed. There's still these super technological things, but humans are kind of not. It has a really cool story. It has a nice twist ending. So if you're planning on playing Horizon Zero Dawn 2, you can probably pick this game up for cheap all the time. I think it's, no matter what, it's $20 because it's a PlayStation hit. So you can probably get it for less than that. Totally recommend it. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know if I know the twist. I didn't beat it. I don't know if I know the twist. Okay. Well, like I have assumptions.
Sure.
But I have no idea. I probably need to dive in and play it for many reasons.
And the combat with robots. The combat with humans sucks, by the way. It's so boring, but the combat with robots is fantastic.
That's what I hear. I probably need to dive in and play it, so I'll probably be doing that, as that's going to be one of my games this year to dive back and check out. We got only a few more left. Your next one is one that you and I both have you passing ships on this one, because you and I have been playing them at different times. But Star Wars Battlefront 2. And Star Wars Battlefront 2, I keep going back to it every now and then.
Yeah.
and I'm like, wow, this is really good. Oh, cool, they added this stuff, and then I go off and play something else. But you played how much did you play, like, more this year, or dive back
So
in?
I dove back into the beginning of the year, where it was just I heard it got good. You know,
Yeah,
whenever it launched, I played through the campaign, and I had zero interest in the online because the way that they had built the unlockables and all that stuff sucked. It was
yeah,
not well done. It was currency based and wanted you to pay them money, and they got rid of all that. It's completely you earn it
yeah.
through playing the game, and that's the way that multiplayer, in my opinion, on some of these games in a title in a franchise as big as
Sure.
Star Wars should be. It should not be all behind a paywall like a
Yeah.
mobile game. So I had already beaten the campaign. I strictly played online, and again, a really fun gameplay loop. Not nearly as quick as Call of Duty by any means, but I was getting in. I was before I stopped playing. I was getting decent at the trooper, the basic trooper guy. That was my main. Really well done. And if you have EA Play through Game Pass, I believe it's available to you
It
along with
is.
Jedi Fallen Order, which you should also play. But uh, play Battlefront 2 if you got Game Pass Ultimate, like you should if you're an Xbox owner, and
So
have fun. It's just
so
fun.
worth it.
It's just fun.
I'm gonna dive back in this year, because, and that's
I'm
not
probably
me
gonna
just.
download it on my series.
Yeah, that's I may end up doing that. So I may join you over there. I don't, and I'll have to start from the bottom there, but I think it'd be fun. That's fun.
I think you may be able to link your account to EA, like your Origin or something, so you
Yeah.
may be able to carry your progress over. But
Okay.
don't quote me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if we can.
What's your next one?
My next one is Ghost of Tsushima,
Yeah,
which definitely top. I know we're coming up to what would be the top. I think Demon Souls, Ghost of Tsushima. There are a lot of these that I think probably are my favorites. Ghosts, from a combat perspective, from a story perspective, from a visual perspective, it just kept checking boxes over and over and over again. I am not a Japanese history expert. I am not a Japanophile. I love Japanese culture and everything, but I'm not a Japanophile enough to tell you how accurate the game is. But I've heard people enjoyed, like, the architecture and those things. Like I said, I'm just not going to pretend that I'm an expert in it, but I do love it, and it's beautiful. There are so many moments in the game that just look picturesque, very, like Red Dead 2 is like that as well. Red Dead kind of this game doesn't do it as much. Red Dead would, like, show you like in a cinematic way, look at these environments. This game
sure.
didn't do it as much. I caught myself finding these moments and finding these landscapes, and it was just beautiful, from the darkness to the light. Everything, I enjoyed it. It made bandit camps fun, which normally that's a
That's
trope.
tough. Yeah,
That's a trope. Just
those
throw
are
it in
not
every.
good in Horizon.
It's a rinse repeat thing. It made it interesting and fun, and it was because it was challenging. So
It's my February game. So Concrete Genie was first just because it came out first, but I want to go through all the PlayStation exclusives, or at least the first party exclusives. So Ghosts is number 2, and since they unlocked the frame rate to 60 frames on PS5, I'm excited to probably play this game at its best.
Yeah.
I know that it was already quick loading. That was one thing that they prided themselves on. However, they figured out how to load this game quickly. Bravo to them. They need to share those tips.
Geniuses.
And then it's already a beautiful setting, so I'm just going to get to play it at 60 frames. So I'm excited.
Dude, and great way to play it. Great way to play it.
Number
Drumroll.
one, baby,
Number
for
one,
me anyway.
last one. Number one for you. Definitely up there for me. Possibly number one for me for many reasons. Final Fantasy VII. So, for, again, so many reasons. I'm sorry, but, like, visually, the music, to take a soundtrack that I loved and to make me love it again in a new way, to take a story that I loved and make me love it in a different way. When I heard that they changed the story, I was prepared to be angry, and when I played it, I wasn't. It was so good, and the combat was just excellent.
So unlike Demon Souls, where more people I think were happy with what they, I did hear that there was a small contingent of people unhappy with Demon Souls. There was a lot more people unhappy with what they did in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Understandably, I suppose, but I don't care. This game is fantastic. What they did at the end of the story actually made me more excited because of what they're unlocking the possibility to do. I'm just hoping that we receive the next few parts in a semi-timely manner. I'm hoping we see part 2, at least a trailer this year. I understand if it's not going to come out in 2021. That makes sense, a year removed, but we better see part 2 by 2022. Like it needs to happen.
It should be an every other year thing. I would love it to be every year, but take your time, do it every other year.
Yeah. So let's take the story away from it for a second. This game had the best team-based action RPG, and I know that that's a mouthful what I'm saying, because I'm sure that there's like solo action RPGs that could do it better. But in terms of party-based games, I've never played a party-based action RPG that had combat this good. The combat is fantastic. The way that you can build off your characters and create that synergy to bounce back and forth, have your main person, have the person doing what you want to, and then switch to them. Unlike, say, for example, I've been playing in Final Fantasy 13, you kind of control one person and kind of just tell the other people what to do. Kind of similar in Final Fantasy 15 as well. If you enjoyed Final Fantasy 15's combat, they built on that, made it fantastic. Leave it. You could do absolutely nothing to it in part 2, and I'll be absolutely fine. Just give me more story, give me the same combat, and I will be perfectly okay. And more than okay, because it was so much fun to get into fights. I didn't mind. There wasn't very much grinding, but all the little battles that they put me into, I didn't care because I was having such a good time. And then pair that with a game that was already in my top 5 of all time. I have a Final Fantasy tattoo, or a Final Fantasy 7 tattoo to be more specifically. So it was already, there was already a bar there that needed to be hit, and they hit it. Nomura totally redeemed himself after giving me a game that I hate in Kingdom Hearts 3. Hate that game. Can't stand it. I think it's terrible. And then turns around and gives me this fantastic game. Amazing. My favorite game of the year. By far. Like, Miles was a great game, but it's something that stuck with me all year as to how good it was.
Yeah, no, I agree. I haven't played it since I beat it.
Yeah.
But I am going to go back and play it. I know you don't go back and play games. I can see you going back and playing it at some point. But I'm probably going to go back, and when I've got a lot of things coming this year game wise. I got a lot of things that I want to do gaming wise. So it'll probably be whenever we get the Final Fantasy, the next trailer, I'll probably go, okay, time to go.
It's back. Like, I need to go back and get the plot.
Exactly. I was just so pleased and so happy with everything that they did in the game, and it made me care about characters that it's not that I didn't like them before, but I didn't think much of them. Characters like Jesse and Wedge. When you play the first Final Fantasy VII, they're very thin. You hardly get to know them in Final Fantasy VII, and this game made you care about them hardcore. I could keep gushing about it, but I'll digress. I was just so happy with it. What a year, 2020. So many bad things, so many good things.
Bad year, but good year for gaming.
Good year for gaming. Let's hear it for 2021 being hopefully even better than that. We'll see. It's a high bar to set. So let us know what your favorite games were in 2020. I almost said this year. It's 2021 right now. Let us know some of your favorite games for 2020. If there was a game that wasn't on our list that should have been, is it Doom? Was it Cyberpunk? We didn't play Cyberpunk because of bugs and everything, so it'll probably be on our list. We'll get to it this year. But let us know in the comments what some of your favorite games for 2020 were. And see you next time.
Bye.